Hello folks, welcome to some Hobby Nightmares. Today we will be covering when a champion tournament player is insufferable at Games Workshop and is asked to leave. I am told it gets a lot more spicy than that, but we'll get into that a little bit later on. First of all, let's jump straight into our first Hobby Nightmare, shall we? Big Gamer Al says, I think your name was Al, and I just changed your name to Big Gamer Al because I was playing South Park at the time and it amused me. So, there we go. If you don't know what Hobby Nightmares is, by the way, before I jump into Big Gamer Al's Hobby Nightmare, it is a section of shows where we talk about the goings-on in the tabletop wargaming hobby. All of the fantastic and maddening things that have happened to people in this hobby over the years. If you've ever wanted a bit of that content, you know, stuff that goes underneath the surface and actually shows you what people are actually like for the most part in the hobby, well, this is kind of it, but please be aware, this is a show called Hobby Nightmares. We're going to be discussing some weird things, and some odd things, and some infuriating things sometimes. You know, just happens. That's where we are. It's called Hobby Nightmares, but we will still get into some positive things when people want to send them in. If you want to send in some Hobby Nightmares, the email hobbynightmares@gmail.com is in the description down below. Right, let's find out what's been going on in the world of tabletop wargaming, or at least the people who play it. Big Gamer Al says, hello, long time listener, first time caller sort of thing here. So the simple question here is, how miffed should I be? For those of you who are in the United States, miffed means annoyed. How miffed should I be? Alright, parentheses. It is the latest codex release of our Necrons, boo, he says, and there's a couple of new models. I thought I would do the good thing and support my local Games Workshop store as they're very nice people. So, I pre-ordered through the store. A fascinating fact I didn't know is that it bypasses the website queue system. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. If you go to your local Games Workshop store and you go to them and you want to order something from a Games Workshop themselves, you bypass everything. Everything gets bypassed. You're not in a queue on their internal computers. You are not on a queue to order something. You know? Don't just go up and order it, by the way. That's not a good thing to do. Do not do that. Do not go into the computer system of Games Workshop, the public one, and order something yourself to your own house. You'll be kicked out for that. You're not supposed to do that, right? You order it to the store. That's what you do. They do your order on the computer. They print off a receipt, you know, like a barcode. They scan it, and you pay for it in the till. And it arrives a few days later at Games Workshop, free of postage and postage charges and all of that cool stuff, and you bypass all of the queues. Anyway, I pre-ordered for new model and codex, and off I trot. 2 weeks later, and release day comes, and there are a couple of Necron fans there waiting for our in-store orders. I think you can guess this one, or what's about to happen. A sheepish manager and store worker look through piles of bags looking for our names. A box of codexes is on the side table in front of the manager, and several new codexes are on the shelves for sale. Okay, fine. What happens? And yes, you guessed it, no Necron codex and models for myself or the other Necron fans waiting in the store. A panicked phone call made by the manager to the warehouse revealed they were still waiting for dispatch. Seeing all the panic and feverish checking, my eyes turned from hard to soft. I felt sorry for these guys. They had clearly been messed around by their logistics. But no biggie, I thought. Then comes the bit which snapped me back into sharp focus. I got told it'll be midweek before I'll get the delivery. Getting told this from a desk of codexes and things on the shelves is comedy gold. Think what miffs me a little bit is the 3 to 5 day delivery of the book. I work in logistics, and let's just say, I know it's not on their priority getting stuff out pretty soon. So, do I cancel my pre-order in disapproval of the system? By the way, I'm not mad at the staff. In fact, I sympathise as they have to take all of the embarrassment of explaining it. My order cancellation won't work as it'll be in dispatch before the cancellation will be processed. So, I would have to get a refund in store after picking it up. I'm not sure I should break their little hearts. Is all of this just cutting my nose off to spite my face, and should I just shut up and make a brew instead? Best regards, oh wise man, Al. Oh, your name's Al. Okay, fair enough. Alex. Okay, cool. The thing is, what I don't understand, so I used to do this quite a lot. So if somebody, logistics, deliveries at Games Workshop were never very punctual. Anybody who runs a trade account, a normal store, will tell you that it's not very punctual at all. So if something didn't turn up for me, and it happened on more than one occasion, I mean 5 or 6 occasions, something didn't turn up in the post for me, for one of my customers, I would known lost something off the shelves, right? And I would put into the system on the till replacement for stock that hasn't turned up yet in the order. I would put in the tracking number for the order that's coming to my store, because every single time they send you an order, like a big box full of replacement stock and a big box full of mail orders, right, to your store, it will have a tracking number, a delivery number on the box. I would say, yeah, I've known lost this. Let's say you're doing a Necron thing. I'd say I've known lost this Necron box to replace an order that hasn't turned up yet because the box came out today and you haven't sent out the, this person's models. So I'm giving them these models from the shelf, nice and new, right? And I'm going to take the models that you give me and I'm going to put them back on my shelf. Easy, right? Then all you do is when you get it at the end of the week, during the week, you scan them into your till and you add them to your stock. That's all you do. So the person's got their models, you haven't lost any stock, everybody's a winner. These guys obviously didn't know how to do that because maybe they're new at Games Workshop or maybe they've not been taught how to do that. It would surprise you how many managers don't know how to do this. This is one thing that my ex-manager was very, very, very good at, in that he would be able to teach you some of the nitty-gritty of running a store. And you'd do it by osmosis, really, because you'd see him doing it, and then you'd say, oh, why are you doing that? He'd explain it and explain how to do it, and then you just go through osmosis and you do it that way. Because you have to find a workaround at Games Workshop for Nottingham not being very good at their jobs. I know, go figure. But here we are. And that's what I would do. So I don't see why they couldn't have done that, but maybe they didn't know. Right now, though, if your order's already there's no point giving it back to the man and getting a refund. What's the point? You are literally, as you just said there, cutting your own nose off to spite your face. You've now got your models. You didn't get them any sooner, So what, you're going to wait more often for your models now and say, well, I don't want these anymore. I'm going to go get them from a store down the road. Nah, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. I understand what you mean. What you should do is take your medicine, take your models, have fun with them, but still know in future that this may happen. So if this is going to happen in future, then don't use them again. Go elsewhere. Go elsewhere for your models. Vote with your wallet. Vote with your wallet. And in your postscript you say, Yorkshire tea is okay. I'd also say M&S Gold tea is good. Never had it. Never had it. Never had M&S Gold tea. Okay, Blood Raven says, before I go into Blood Raven's story, if you like what I do, please, please, please subscribe to the channel. We are well on our way to 16,000 subscribers. We are 300 subs away, guys, from 16,000 subscribers. If you could help me out by hitting that subscribe button. I know half of the people watching this are not subscribed, so make sure you do subscribe, you hit the notification bell, and you will see every single time I upload one of these videos. I generally upload 5 times a week to get you through the week, the working week, because I know a lot of dads and mums out there who are into the hobby need a bit of help, need a bit of a laugh to get them through the week. So here we are. If you like what I do, subscribe, help the channel grow. Alright, cool. Moving on. Blood Raven says, hi North, Blood Raven 93 here after a while. I hope you're doing well. No problem, man. Yeah, I'm doing quite well. As a quick side note, I recently sold my Blood Ravens so I could fully invest in my revamped Imperial Fists army and help recover the costs of my master's degree. So in future emails, I'll be going by my new Discord name, Dawny Feisty Boy. Oh, for God's sake. That is the most Imperial Fist name. Cringe, mate. Imperial Fist players, they're like dads who are doing dad dancing. Do you know what I mean? They're literal dad dancers. They're going, hey, isn't this cool, guys? Huh? That's literally Imperial Fist players in a nutshell. I am not kidding. Like, it's just... But you have sent me a picture of your army, and oh boy. Oh boy. I am very, very, very happy that this army is a thing, and I'm going to show it right now. I'm going to actually whack it on the screen. So, if you are having your dinner or you're chilling out, or if you're an Iron Warriors fan and you don't want to throw up, maybe look away from the screen or look at the screen, because we're about to see a really cool Imperial Fists army. There it is. Look at that. Cool, huh? I saw that yesterday whilst I was doing emails, networking and stuff for work, and I just thought, wow. Wow, wow, wow. That is a beautiful piece of kit, my friend. Well done. Absolutely well done. You're still lame as fuck, though, because you do Imperial Fists. But it's fine, it's fine. Moving on. Alright. This story is quite a long one and gets pretty heavy, not gonna lie. Part of me didn't want to write it, but it's something that happened to me a few years ago, and I've got to get it out. Alright. I recommend you take a good sip of some lovely Yorkshire tea before we start. Thank you very much. By the way, if you are entering into the painting competition, or, no, actually no, there's no entering in this month because we're going to do a massive big painting competition, year-long award ceremony. Not year-long, but we're going to look all the winners through the year and do our best winners. At the end of the month of December, this month, you will be getting, if you are involved in that, a free box of Yorkshire tea. Oh yes. Oh yes. And also, next year, in June, we are going to be doing the big get-together for the channel, and if you turn up to that, and you are part of the Patreon, or you're part of being a member of the channel, you will also get a signed box of Yorkshire tea from yours truly. Yeah, I'll be there handing them out with your name on them as well. So there we go. Anyway, this takes place when I was 14 and went on until I was 20. And that's to do with verbal and physical abuse as trigger warnings, alright? For my own peace of mind, I won't be using the guy's real name, as I don't want the risk of him coming across this video and figuring out it's about him. One day when I was 14, I was in Games Workshop, looking at getting a new army whilst waiting for my mother to pick me up as to visit my grandparents. Okay, cool. After she arrived, she started talking to a man in the store. Let's call him Mike. Mike was about 35 at the time and was ex-military. After me and him had a lengthy conversation about the hobby, he was an orc player, he offered to give me and my mother a lift, to which my mother accepted. Okay. After some time passed, Mike and my mother started dating. I didn't really have any issue with it. He would drop me off at Games Workshop while my mother would go off and grab some coffee and hang out. We would often even have a game or two together, and all seemed pretty good. About 3 months after they started dating, my mother said Mike would be moving in with us. Red flag. Red flag. 3 months. Listen. My mum was a single mum. Okay? No man was moving into her house after 3 months with her kids. Absolutely not. Red flag. Big old red flag. There is no way she would allow anybody. She could have, like, 1990s Brad Pitt could be wanting to kiss her fucking feet. He wouldn't be moving into our house 3 months into a dating relationship. Wouldn't work. Wouldn't be happening. Sorry. In fact, she'd probably immediately walk away from that relationship, because it would set off, if he suggested that, it would just set off all alarm bells. She'd just leave the relationship. Kids come first, man. If you're a mother, and if you're a father. If you're a single parent, kids come first. It is what it is. Alright? Anyway. This is where things took a turn. This is almost brilliant. Okay. I am sentient. I'm not sentient. Prescient. Of course I'm sentient. Well, depends who you ask in the comment section, I suppose, but I am definitely prescient sometimes. One day, I came downstairs to watch a pre-recorded episode of Doctor Who. I think it was David Tennant at the time, but correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. And Mike made a comment about how we, and I quote, shouldn't watch that show around him, and how he once smashed the TV in a hotel room he was sharing when the show came on. My mother simply said, "Oh, let him watch it. He'll be back in his room after you, and you can watch something after that." He spent the whole time just glaring at me whilst cracking his knuckles. I thought this was a weird way to react. Sure, there are shows I hate too, but I don't glare at people if they watch them. All seemed well after that, and I thought that was just a random moment. However, it all just started to get worse. A while after then, not sure how long after, I came downstairs and saw my mother and Mike were having a food fight. Odd, but it looked like fun, so I joined in. It was all a big dumb laugh at first, then I decided to throw a small tomato at Mike. He responded by lunging at me, grabbing my throat and pinning me to the wall whilst choking me. My mother, seeing the absolute shock and terror in the eyes of her 14-year-old son, responded by lightly slapping his shoulder and asking him, not telling him or demanding him to stop. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna say this again. If this is my mother, this guy's not alive. She goes to the drawer in the kitchen. She gets out the biggest butcher's knife she can find and she whacks it into the back of his neck. Nearly every mother I know would do exactly the same, right? Nearly every mother I know. This is abuse, my friend, and they're both doing it. So you may give your mother a pass. She may still be in your life. She was doing it too, right? Can you please not do that to him, dude? That's abuse. He should not be. Her keeping him in that house is abuse, right? After he's done this. Sorry, this is what it is. After a while, he finally let go and I ran upstairs. Since then, I hate anyone even just lightly touching any part of my neck. If I go to the barbers and I even feel them go over my neck, I still flinch. I thought you were going to say you like break his arm or something. You like some SAS like, huh! And you just like, you know, go out there and do your thing. Despite this very obvious fact that Mike had just been physical with me, a 14-year-old child at the time, my mother still stayed with him. Again, okay, dude, I don't care how much she likes him if she's lonely. That's abuse. Alright? That is at least negligence. Criminal fucking negligence on the part of the mother there. Why do you ask? Well, because he said he was sorry. A quick note to self, if I ever become a dad and someone touches my child, if I don't go ape shit and instead say it's okay because they apologised, I deserve a kick square in the balls. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. This then spiralled into him making verbal threats to me on an almost daily basis. Most of the time, if I'd said something in a tone he didn't like, or I was doing something he didn't want me to do, he would threaten to be violent with me. And on one occasion, when he told me to stop smiling at him, and I responded that I wasn't, it's just my natural resting face, he responded by saying, well, maybe I should put it back into shape, stop smiling at me. This was said in the presence of my mother, of course it was. To which she responded, oh, stop it, you two. Yeah, yeah, man, I can't. Anyway. One day, when he went to work, I told my mother how I felt about him, and kept reminding her of every threat he had made, and the fact he had been physical with me, to which she tried to play the victim, by saying it's not easy being in between Mike and me, and that she's being pulled in both directions, and it's not fair on her. Wow! Wow. Wow. I even told my grandpa, who is the only positive male figure I've ever had in my life that's been family, and even asked my mum why she stays with him, to which she didn't answer. I think that is why I had such a bad autistic outburst when I was younger. I was too weak and small to physically stand up to this guy living in my house, who was built like a brick. I built it up and threw it at others. Yeah, that's a completely not respectful response, but understandable response. And by the way, I've had this a lot of time when people say, why do these get so dark sometimes, and why do I just don't want to put up with that. Well, that's on you. If you don't like that and you're watching this video, okay, fine, then click off. He gave you a content warning at the start of this hobby nightmare. Skip forward to when it's finished, or don't watch the video, right? But please don't come into the comment section being little bitches about it, because it's not. Do you know what I mean? This is a channel focused on mental health. It's like that meme of Darth Vader killing Ewoks, and it says, everybody wants to be a Sith Lord until it's time to do some Sith Lord shit. Well, that's what we're doing here, right? Everybody wants to be a mental health channel until it's time to do some mental health shit. Well, that's what we're doing here. All right. If you don't like it, I don't blame you. Maybe something triggers you, maybe something goes on. Okay, fine. Just skip ahead. You know, just skip ahead. In future, just skip ahead and go and do what you want to do. It's no problem at all. All right. But don't complain about it. The world doesn't revolve around you, and other people actually need help. This is a channel about mental health. All right. Cool. Just thought I'd head that off before I look into the comment section and people are like, nah, it's too dark for me. It's like, okay, well, dude, what can I tell you? It's a mental health channel. Anyway, this is also why Dave, the gay guy who played one game before his last heart surgery from my previous stories, hated Mike. Not because he was the only one who believed in me, but because he could see right through Mike's bullshit, and Mike hated him right back. Well, that's the thing. Chads do, right? Actual men, actual bros, they see through people like this, like that, like literally the minute one, right? I want to go into a family story here. So my mother used to date a guy who was not a nice bloke. Let's put it that way, right? He didn't do anything directly to me or my sister, or he tried to once, but anyway, my grandpa sorted that shit out straight away. But my grandpa, on the other hand of that, he was the one to see straight through him. Right at the start of the relationship. He said, I don't like him. And this guy was charming as hell. And my grandpa was like, yeah, I don't like him. Don't want him near my grandkids, don't like him. You know? And when shit did eventually kick off, he was the first one outside the house, opening the door and wrapping this guy's head around the garden wall. Right? They're just literally men, bros, chads, whatever you want to call them. They see through bullshit merchants like this straight away. Do you know why? Because men are trained to see threats to their children. Ingrained. It's in us. It's in our souls. We see threats in other males. If another man is a threat to the kids around us or our family, dude, we get a shiver down our spine. They can be smiling away. We can see straight through it. Straight fucking through it. Seen it happen so many times. And it doesn't surprise me. We've heard about Dave before in this story. I remember reading that one out. He was a top man. And I am not surprised he hated him. Right? I'm not surprised he was like, yeah, that guy's trouble. Right? It's a weird sixth sense. You know? It's like women have a sixth sense for bullshit. You know, like if you're, not bullshit, but like desperate dude. So if you go out looking on the pull, women can sense your desperation from several rooms away. And no one's going to come anywhere near you. Which is why I tell people not to be like, don't go out trying to pull, go out to have a good time with your friends. And the pulling will come to you, right? Yeah, number one piece of advice to go out. Same thing goes for men and other men's psychopathy, right? If there's a mask in front of it, most other men can see straight through it. Like, you're danger, mate. And if you come anywhere near me or my kids, I'm going to bitch slap you until you're shitting teeth. Alright? Just stay over there, right? It's weird. It's weird. You need to be a grown man to have it, though, in my opinion, so, you know, anyway. After Dave's passing, Mike banned me from going into the store unless he thought I deserved the right to do so, even if I was covering the travel costs myself. Even when one of the old sales assistants became the manager of another store, we took a trip to visit him. And I was forced to stay outside in the rain whilst he went in to greet my friend. My mother tried to tell him to let me see him, but after Mike said no, she just said in a weird, cutesy way, okay. Yeah, dude, your mother's a twat as well, so, sorry. An enabling abuser is what she is. When I hit 18, I went straight to college to study art. This is long before I found out I had a crack for economics and finance. My social anxiety was through the roof. I didn't even feel safe walking around in my own home. Yep, 4 years on, and Mike and my mum are still together, even after he starts getting more bold by threatening me in front of her and in public. My anxiety had gotten so bad that I began drinking in the morning until I was sober enough to function, but intoxicated enough to not feel much. I'd go through half a bottle of Sambuca every morning at 8 AM, Because I was drinking so much, this eventually led me to being admitted to hospital for vomiting blood. Okay, this is getting... yeah, okay. Eventually, I started to see a counsellor, a nice Irish man called Richard. Shout out to the great guy. He might have saved me from becoming an alcoholic, among other things. My anxiety never went away. It never does, dude. It never does. If any of you are listening to this and you're thinking your anxiety will leave and never come back, it won't. It won't. Take it from me. I have anxiety and depression, right? And a lot of people like to play on that, or like to try and play on that. At the end of the day, I'm in a situation right now in life where I'm the happiest I think I've ever been. Okay? In relationship-wise, work-wise, everything-wise, I've never been this happy ever in my life. I don't think, right? Sorry to any ex-girlfriends who might be listening to this, but I know one or two do. But that's just where I am, okay? And I still, sometimes, I wake up and I have this sinking feeling in my stomach. I don't want to get up. My anxiety is kicking in. My depression's kicking in. And today was one of those days. It's 4:45, and I'm just in the middle of this recording, and it's 4:45. This episode goes up at 6. I've really dragged my feet today. But that's because I've done my other work that needs doing, and I just couldn't summon the energy. I was just done, you know? I was just miserable, and I have no idea why. Guys, if that can happen to me in my situation, and things are going well, it can happen to you. Alright? So never, ever, ever beat yourself up about feeling anxious or feeling depressed. Just don't do it. It is wasted energy. Okay? You're speaking a language your depression doesn't speak. If you do that. Literally. Okay? Accept it, acknowledge it, and feel it. That's what you do. Accept it, acknowledge it, know what it is. Know what it is. And feel it, and carry on with your day. That's all you can do. Literally all you can do. And it never goes away. There will be times when you have several weeks. If things are going well in your life, there'll be times when you have several weeks of things going really, really, really well. And you're not feeling anxious or depressed or anything. Then all of a sudden, for no reason whatsoever, it'll come back for a day or two. Mate, it's just natural. It's happening. Acknowledge it and move on. The good times will come again. This too will pass. I promise. Alright? Cool. Anyway. And that is why we do mental health stuff on the channel. Because some people probably needed to hear that right now. Alright? Cool. My anxiety never went away, nor did the clear post-traumatic stress disorder from anyone touching my neck, but I was becoming happier, despite the fact that my abuser was still living in my house back home. I know what you're wondering. Why the hell didn't I contact the police? Nah, I wasn't wondering that. You're not gonna, you wouldn't want to do that to your mum. You love your mum, right? Well, he had gotten into my head by telling me it would be my word against his, and that the police wouldn't do anything without proof. They would. Actually, they would. And if I ever tried it, he'd come after me. Plus, I stupidly thought I didn't have the right to ruin my mother's relationship. See? Well, that's exactly what I just said. That's why you wouldn't do it, right? It's a bit obvious why you wouldn't do it. But the police would do... If you went to them, mate, and... especially if he left any marks on you. Yeah, that guy's fucked. If you had any marks on you from what he's done to you, and then you go to the... Mate, he's fucked. They will be round there quicker than... a rat up a drain pipe. Depending. But there have been times... Social services, on the other hand, are not very... from my experiences, there have been so many kids who've fallen through the cracks, but if you go directly to the police, and you're like, listen, this guy is going to kill me, they're going to be like, what? Seen it happen. Seen it happen. If you're around schools long enough, you'll see it happen too. Unfortunately. One day, when I just hit 20, I had a friend come round for a game of 40k and to see a film after. We'll call this friend Steve. Myself, Steve, Mike and my mother were standing in the kitchen just talking, when Mike tried to make some banter comment about my hairstyle. I jokingly flipped the bird while going, ha, very funny, when he tried to break my finger by bending it sideways. I don't know what, but something in me snapped. Of course it did, you're 20 and you're his size now. And pure instinct took over, and I stood up for myself. I kicked Mike square in the balls with full force. He went flying backwards into the cooker and fell down. Touch me again and I'll stomp your balls so hard they fucking pop, I said. He got up and said, addressing my mother, "Oh, let me take him outside. I've been waiting for this." Steve perked up and said, "Dude, you just tried to break his finger. What do you expect?" My mother just responded by nodding and saying, "Exactly." I'd say that response is a bit late, since I was an adult at the time. Would have been better when I was a little child, but whatever. A few months after that, my mother finally broke up with my abuser and kicked him out of the house. Before you get excited, it wasn't because she acknowledged what type of man he was. Nope. It was because she was going through menopause and claimed her emotional intolerance made her end things. And she still says to this day she regrets ending things and still loves him. Alright. This is going to be bloody controversial. I'm not sure I should say it. There are types of women out there, generally older women, who let life happen to them. And whenever they're responsible for something, they will pass that responsibility onto something else. Normally something that can't be defined or proven. In this case, this woman has quite rightfully broken up with a man who abused her son for years. Instead of just taking that and saying, I made the right decision and he's not coming back, she's actually said, no, the menopause made me do that. Because she can't take any responsibility for her own actions. She's not strong enough to do that. I've known many women like this. Okay? The other thing, and this is going to sound really Freudian and weird, and this is just me thinking this, the reason she was okay with kicking him to the curb is because you're a man now. And you can take care of her. You're an adult. You're a man. You can take care of her. That's why she was so okay getting rid of him at the first opportunity. I'm going to be honest with you. From what you've said about your mother, and you're not trying to besmirch her or anything, I don't like her very much. Like I like your abuser even less. Trust me. But yeah. Was she being abused? Do you know? Like, what was going on there? Because at the end of the day, she kicked him to the curb very easily here. And he left very easily. That makes me think that she wanted somebody to look after her. Now you're a man and you're grown up, you can look after her, essentially, right? Not in that way, right? I mean, like, you know, money-wise, being a man around the house-wise, helping her out-wise, that kind of thing. Because some people are like this. And I think the reason why she stayed with him when you were younger was because, well, number one, she probably loves him, you know, weirdly. And number two, she probably wants to give you a dad, and she thinks she's doing the best thing for you, even though this guy's abusing you. People will bend over backwards, logic-wise, to stay with somebody that they're infatuated with. But if you do that at the disadvantage of your own kids, you're an evil piece of shit. And your mother did that several times. So, you know. I want to stress, he continues, that I love my mother. I'm still living at home at 30 for a multitude of reasons. No shame in that, mate. No shame in that. Absolutely no shame from me. Alright? I'll tell you something else as well. When I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I was also at home. I was at home until I left for America. And that was in 2020, right? I was at home until 2020. Now, I was in university for several years in between that, so I wasn't always at home. But when I came back from university and I went to work for Games Workshop, I also wasn't at home. But when I left Games Workshop and until I went to America, I was living at home. So I was also living at home in my early 30s. Mate, don't feel ashamed of that at all. Don't. Okay? Life is life. And getting your own place is fucking difficult right now. Really difficult. Okay? Really difficult. Don't let anybody besmirch you or shame you for that. Mainly because I made bad choices for my future in my early 20s. Ditto. I did that as well. Which pushed my professional development back. I did as well. It's called working for Games Workshop. I did the same thing in my 20s. It was called working for Games Workshop. And because she developed a lifelong medical problem and paranoia, meaning she needs me around to help with day-to-day tasks. Dude, I'm I'm a fucking savant when it comes to seeing into the future, right? I told you. She doesn't need him anymore. She's got a man now in the house. She doesn't need him anymore. She kicks him to the curb at the first opportunity. Meaning she needs me around to help with day-to-day tasks and to be the voice of reason so she doesn't do something stupid. I just learned that if I'm ever in a bad situation with somebody she has an attachment to, I can't rely on her to be on my side. Well, it sounds like your mother's got some issues. So that has softened my view of her somewhat. You know what I mean? That she's got some issues going on there. If this was just a normal woman who didn't have any issues or illnesses at all, she'd be an evil piece of shit. But like, alright, fair enough, I'll give her the benefit of the doubt here, but still, not good. The way she treated you was not good. I wasted years until I was 26 trying to make a career in art, and so I'm trying to catch up in life to where I would have been had I not made a lot of bad choices, by trying to make as many opportunities as I can to make up for lost time. So when I start my MSc in economics, I will have published several articles, 2 papers, and a book on monetary theory. Hopefully, after my masters, I'll have some part-time tutoring experience behind me along with everybody else. I have very simple goals in life. Own a home, publish research, and make enough money to pay the bills and go out with friends at least once a month. I don't care about having an exceptional lifestyle. In the end, I just want my work to be great and my life to be stable. Dude, great goals. Great goals. In fact, talk to me about Bloke. I hesitate to call it a self-help book, but it's a memoir that I'm writing, a small novella that I'm writing about putting your life together as a bloke. Get in touch, I'll give you a free copy, alright? Hopefully it'll help you. Anyway, I think I may be rambling, so I'll end with something a bit uplifting on a positive note. The Imperial Fists, specifically Rogel Dawn, have actually been a huge positive influence on me continuing with my workouts and managing my anxiety. Dawn's stoic words of standing strong and doing what must be done, seeing the way things are and not thinking them to be otherwise, constantly resonate with me and inspire me to be a better man and work towards the kind of man I want to be. Wow. Mate, that's good. That's some good stuff. Dawn is one of those guys. Alright? He may not be cool, he may not be edgy, but he's one of those guys. Definitely. Stoic dad. Dawn is a stoic dad. You know, he's not cool or hip, right? He can do some lame things, you know, hello fellow kids. He can do that from time to time. But he's stoic and he's a dad and he's not going anywhere, right? Alright. So much so that I actually have a playlist of audio quotes by Dawn as a private video I listen to when working out, as it pushes me to go further. I've attached a photo of my Imperial Fists army so far. Sorry if it's a bit blurry, my phone is a potato. Mate, it looks amazing. I'll end this roller coaster with my favourite quotes by Rogel Dawn. And I quote, "Duty, discipline, unyielding will. These are the measures by which every warrior is judged." Unquote. And I quote, "A man's soul needs to be a fortress." Unquote. Cheers, North. Blood Raven. Cheers, man. Thank you very much. What a lovely, twisty-turny story. Fantastic. Loved it. Anyway. Love your army, too. Absolutely lovely looking. Guided Missile says, "Hi, North. I wanted to go over this, as it's been a while coming. I've gotten in touch with people who were there at the time and who were more in-depth on the situation at hand when it comes up. And when it does, you'll get why I went out of my way to speak to people about it. So this hobby nightmare takes place in a Games Workshop store. My local Games Workshop store, and involves the manager Brian and the lead character of this hobby nightmare, Joshua. Let's just call him Josh. Alright? Cool? Josh was what you would call an acquired taste. He was extremely in your face about winning. A lot. He would celebrate dice rolls that went against you, belittle things that you tried to win in a game, that you did to try and win a game. Okay. And would bring an honest-to-God douchebag atmosphere of win at all costs. In fact, when the attitude started to permeate in the store, Josh was the singularity at the heart of all the bad feeling. There was a saying amongst the older heads of the store, "Don't be a Josh," or "Dude, stop joshing about." He was about 27 years old, had a work from home job doing something techie, but I don't remember what. All I remember was that it was a pretty well paid gig. Josh did not look like your average neckbeard. In fact, the video a few weeks ago about a toxic guy who looked normal jogged my memory into writing this hobby nightmare. The worst part was, he was a good looking guy, and would regularly get women all of the time, mostly by bullshitting them and lying to them by hearing him tell it. Thing is, it worked, and they lapped it up. I think Josh did more to engender a feeling in the store of, and I quote, "women are fucking idiots," unquote, than anyone, because they kept falling for his shit. To be clear, I'm a married man and was married to the same woman at the time. I am very lucky to be in a marriage that is so full of love and passion, so my stance here is not coming from a place of bitterness. It's just what I saw happening. Okay. I can see what you mean. I guess a lot of guys who aren't getting a lot of action see a guy like Josh lying to women and bullshitting them and getting away with it. You would start to feel, how do I say it? Embittered? Would embittered be a good word? Yeah? Anyway, moving on. The issue with Josh was that he would punch down. He would ridicule others in front of women and actively harm their chances of the dudes around him whenever we sauntered out for a pint together. He just could not accept that anybody got any attention but him. And this was just his extracurricular activities beyond the hobby. Mate, he's a traitor. He's a traitor. There is a full chapter in Bloke, in that thing I'm writing, called Traitors. And we go over guys like this and what to do about them. In the hobby, he was also a beast on the tabletop and actively won many tournaments. In fact, he was a walking euphemism for the fact that good things happen to really shitty people. Some of the tournaments he won were on a national level, which is why I have kept his real first name but not mentioned his gaming moniker or the team that he played for, that he used at events and things like that. He would come into the store with frankly overpowered and geared lists. He would try and figure out who was playing ahead of time and then math hammer a list together specifically meant to tear apart that faction in question and, in some instances, the exact list he was playing against if you were stupid enough to show it to him ahead of time. This was a raging black hole of a man, a used car salesman leaving nothing but misery behind him on both sides of the gender divide. He had no friends in the store. Most people in the know about his antics would give him a wide berth or one-word answers when he tried to speak to them. It got to the point that you would begin to feel sorry for him, and then he'd say something like, and I quote, "Maybe you should try not being a bitch," to a young lad struggling with his self-image, or, "Women don't like you because you're you, and I'm me." To a bloke who was not asking for his advice, he just jumped into a conversation two other people were having about going out that night and their chances of meeting ladies. And also, and I quote, "Wow, I can't wait to put that army out of its misery. It's fucking terrible," unquote. He said this to an 11-year-old girl playing with her dad's Imperial Guards women. Her dad had passed away several months earlier, and Josh knew this. Wow. Wowie. Wowie. Oh my god. He'd say something like this and you'd think, that's why everybody fucking hates you. Okay, carry on. Oh my god. How has no one taken this guy out to the back of the woodshed and put one in the back of his head already? Got him out the store? Oh my lord. But I think it shows you just how many people are glad or happy to overlook certain behaviours, to not rock the boat. People always say that to me in Hobby Nightmares, like, well, why do these things keep cropping up? Why do people keep accepting this behaviour? Mate, I think you would too. Do you know what I mean? If you're having a good time in the store and you're having a nice relaxing day, I know a lot of you would be like, you know, carry on. You know, he's not upsetting me, so carry on. You know? A lot of people would do that. I might even do that, you know what I mean? Like if I'm on, having a bad day and I'm not in the mood for a confrontation. This is where Brian enters the picture. Not all Games Workshop managers are cut from the same cloth. In fact, most I have known have been great people. Very true. There have been exceptions to be sure, but Brian was a class act. He would always have a smile on his face, was always there when you needed him, and was such a good friend to people in store that when a lad, Alex, was being bullied in school, he ran to Brian's house and not his parents when he ran away from class. This is not the first time this has happened to a Games Workshop manager in your videos, and if they are anything to go by, but it shows the amount of trust and respect people had for the guy. Yeah, it's not. It's not. That phenomenon happens a lot. If you're a Games Workshop manager, you will have kids turning up to your house. Unfortunately. And you will then need to contact their parents straight away. But they will see you as somebody who can be trusted, so if something's going wrong, they're probably going to turn up at your house. Right? You're their hero. You're there to get them out of a situation. Yeah, be very careful in those situations. There was one thing Brian fucking despised above all else. Bullying. He had been gunning for Joshua for months, and had warned him on many occasions about his conduct in the store. I tend to think that a lot of man-children who are into 40k don't really realise that the edgy, laddish and toxic memery of their behaviour is not actually how people in the hobby act. Being a twat doesn't make you clever, or edgy, or irreverent. It makes you look like a twat, because that's what you are. The only person you don't look like a twat to is another twat. So congratulations. The other 99% of people in the hobby think you're fucking morons, but carry on. Joshua was one of these people, and was a main cancer eating at the heart of the store. My guy Brian knew that, and had his scalpel sharpened and at the ready. Alright? Okay. I don't know. I think memes and stuff like that, they have their place in 40k. Like I'm not I think you're being a bit harsh there. I think you're being a bit harsh. I think memery does have its place in 40k. You know, edgy humour has its place in 40k. It's an edgy setting, for God's sake, right? You know? Just sometimes it crosses a line, you know? Some people can become a meme in themselves. That's when it crosses the line and you're like, dude, not only are you not funny, you're lame as fuck. Happens a lot. Happens more than you'd think, you know? But the odd meme here or there, the odd bit of edgy humour, nah, it's fine. You know? The incident that occurred to throw all of this into the air happened at the end of a long day for Brian. You can tell the guy was kind of done. It was a busy Saturday, and he'd been rushed off of his feet all day with difficult customers, introduction games, and everything in between. That day, a lot of people decided to use his Games Workshop as a kind of impromptu youth centre, dropping off their kids there and going on their merry way. These kids had no interest in the hobby and were bored. You can tell the kind of day Brian was having. By the end, things were winding down, and finally he had a bit of peace. He was walking to the shop floor and generally seemed to be perking up. Then Joshua walked in and shouted a greeting to everybody really loudly. When he only got mumbles in return because people were playing games or didn't really want to speak to him, he greeted everybody even louder and said, "That's better," after it. Like a fucking game show host. He loudly unpacked his stuff and demanded someone spray the store down as it stank, quote unquote, in his opinion. It didn't, by the way. We had fans and open air windows, air fresheners, and everybody at the Games Workshop had decent hygiene. It wasn't one of those stores. We were good. Jason was just lording it. Did I say Jason? Josh, sorry, was just lording it, or at least trying to. He then turns around to another hobbyist called Mike and says, "Huh, your painting is so substandard. I could paint better with my fucking feet, dude." Mike had Parkinson's disease that he was in the relatively early stages of at the time. He was only a little shaky, but still. I could see him grip the brush he was holding very tightly at this suggestion, and I thought he was going to shove it up Joshua's nose. Instead, Brian walks over, looks Joshua up and down, and shakes his head. "I'd like you to pack your things and leave," he said. Joshua laughed in his face and told him straight up he'd done nothing wrong and that he'd complain to head office if Brian pushed it any further. The thing is... Oh, my music has stopped. Bang. There it is. The thing is, Brian had already briefed the head office about Joshua's behaviour, and banning him was their suggestion if he played up again. "I said Joshua, fuck off and let me play." Wow. Well, you're banned anyway for that. Don't swear at the manager. You're done. Goodbye. Nah, Brian replied. "Take your frankly shockingly painted BDSM wannabe Eldar, your ridiculous floppy haircut, and your $10 sneakers and get the fuck out of my store. You look like a low-rent Doctor Who gigolo. Piss off before I call security. You are done." There comes a time I don't even care whether what somebody said actually happened or not. It's that funny. Take your frankly shockingly painted BDSM wannabe Eldar, your ridiculously floppy haircut, and your $10 sneakers, and get the fuck out of my store. You look like a low-rent Doctor Who gigolo. Piss off before I call security. Oh my god. I've now got my image of Joshua in my head. It's like, it's in there now, plain as day. You can't talk to me like that, stammered Joshua. You literally just insulted a man with Parkinson's disease to his face about his condition. This was one step too many in a long line of missteps, my friend. Get the fuck out before I call security and inform them of your pestering behaviour in what is private property, alright? And that was that. Joshua packed his stuff up, blushing so much his ears turned pink, and walked out of the store. A few days later, there was a call to the store phone, and when Brian answered it, I heard him say, and I quote, hello Joshua. What? No, I don't think so, pal. Find somewhere else to play. Yeah, no. Find somewhere else to play that is a little more tolerant of your frankly strange ways. Goodbye now, don't call here again. He put the phone receiver down with a bang and went straight back to his banking for the night. Savage. Thanks, guided missile. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, Games Workshop managers are a special breed when it comes to shit like this. They're one of the only types of people who I honestly think could have pulled off a conversation like that. Like, straight away. Just been like, I've been saving this up for weeks. I've literally been saving this up for weeks. And all of your rage just comes out. And then the guy tries to come back and play at your store again. You're like, piss off, mate. Off you go. Listen, some Games Workshop managers do a lot for the hobby. In fact, a lot of them do. Give them a break sometimes, There are some douchebags out there, but as Guided Missile said, most Games Workshop managers, top blokes, and they're there to help you, guide you in the hobby, to say the very least. Anyway, love you a long time. I'll speak to you tomorrow. We'll be doing a 40k rant tomorrow, because it is Monday today, so we're doing a 40k rant tomorrow, and it will be on why campaigns are the best way to play 40k. Alright, I'll see you then. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Love you a long time. Have a good one. Bye now.